I sat across from my wife in a room that felt colder than it should have been. The air smelled like paper and weak coffee. The lawyer cleared his throat and slid the documents forward. My wife didn't look at me. She looked at the papers like they were already hers. "I'll be keeping the apartment," she said calmly. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't even pause. "It's fair. I need stability." I swallowed and nodded. My mouth felt dry. "Okay," I said. That one word felt heavier than it should have. The lawyer glanced at me. "You understand what you're agreeing to?" he asked. I looked at the apartment address printed in bold letters. That place was where we laughed, fought, planned, and slowly fell apart. "Yes," I said quietly. My wife picked up the pen. Her hand didn't tremble. She signed fast, like she had practiced. I watched her signature curve across the page. It felt like watching a door close. "Your turn," the lawyer said, sliding the paper to me. I picked up the pen. My fingers felt stiff. "You sure about this?" the lawyer asked again, softer this time. I could feel his eyes on me, waiting for doubt. I shook my head. "I'm sure," I said. My wife finally looked up. Her eyes were sharp, almost relieved. "Let's not drag this out," she said. "We've wasted enough time." I nodded again. That was something I was good at. Agreeing. Avoiding. Staying quiet so things wouldn't explode. I signed. The pen scratched softly, and just like that, it was done. The apartment was hers. My wife leaned back in her chair. "Thank you," she said, not to me, but to the lawyer. He gathered the papers and smiled politely. "I'll file these today," he said. "You'll receive copies by email." I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak, but my face stayed calm. I had learned that trick a long time ago. As we walked out, my wife stopped me near the door. "I think this is best," she said. "For both of us." I looked at her. "If that's what you want," I replied. She frowned slightly, like she expected more. Maybe anger. Maybe begging. But I gave her nothing. She straightened and nodded. "Good," she said. "Take care of yourself." Then she turned and walked away. I stepped outside into the parking lot. The sun was bright, but I felt empty. My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. "How did it go?" she asked. I typed back, "It's done." That was all. I put the phone away and sat in my car. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, breathing slowly. I had learned to survive moments like this by staying still. People always thought I was weak because I didn't fight. They didn't know how loud my thoughts were. They didn't know how many times I chose silence because noise never fixed anything for me. My wife used to say, "You never stand up for yourself." I used to smile and say, "I just don't like conflict." The truth was simpler. Conflict had never loved me back. I remembered the first time we moved into that apartment. She was excited, talking about curtains and furniture. "This place is ours," she had said, spinning in the living room. I stood near the door, watching her smile. "Yeah," I said. "It's perfect." She never asked how we could afford it so easily. She never asked why the landlord never raised rent. She never asked why repairs happened the same day we called. I made sure she didn't have to. Back in the present, my phone rang. It was my father. "You okay?" he asked. His voice was calm, steady. I signed, I said. There was a pause. The apartment, he asked. Yes, I replied. Another pause. Then he said, you did what you thought was right. I closed my eyes. I think so, I said. He didn't ask anything else. He never did. That was how I grew up. Questions stayed unasked. Answers stayed hidden. My father taught me that privacy was protection. People treat you different when they think they know everything, he used to say. I carried that lesson into my marriage. I thought love meant sharing feelings, not facts. I thought keeping things quiet would keep things safe. I was wrong about some things. Not all. Later that night, my wife called me. I'll pick up my last boxes tomorrow, she said. I'll leave my keys on the counter. I leaned against the wall in my small rented room. Take your time, I said. She hesitated. You're really okay with this, she asked. I smiled slightly, even though she couldn't see it. You wanted the apartment, I said. You got it. She exhaled. I knew you'd understand, she said. Then she hung up. I sat down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Understanding had always been my role. I understood when she was tired. I understood when she was distant. I understood when she stopped loving me. What she never understood was me. That was partly my fault. I never gave her the chance. Silence can look like emptiness if you don't know what's behind it. The next morning, I drove past the building. I didn't stop. I just looked at it from the street. The windows reflected the sky. People came and went, unaware. Somewhere inside, my wife was probably planning her new life, feeling victorious. I didn't feel angry. I felt calm. Hollow, but calm. I whispered to myself, it's just an apartment. That was true in a way. As I drove away, one quiet thought settled in my mind, steady and clear. She never once asked how the building was owned. I met my wife because she spoke first. You're quiet, she said, smiling like she found it interesting. I shrugged. I listen, I replied. She laughed. Good. Most men don't. That was how it started. She talked. I listened. It felt balanced back then. What do you do? She asked. Finance, I said. Sounds boring, she teased. It is, I said. She liked that answer. Or maybe she liked that I didn't try to impress her. On our third date, she leaned across the table and said, I like confident men. I nodded. Me too, I said. She raised an eyebrow. You don't seem confident, she said. I smiled. I am. I just don't announce it. She laughed again. We'll see, she said. I should have paid attention to that. I didn't. When we moved in together, she walked through the apartment with her hands on her hips. This place is expensive, she said. Are you sure we can manage this? I looked at her. Yes, I said. How? She asked. I paused. I planned ahead, I replied. She studied my face. You're mysterious, she said. I like that. I smiled. Mystery sounds better than silence. I let her believe that. My father warned me once. Don't explain everything, he said. We were sitting at his kitchen table. People don't need the whole map. I asked him why. He said, because they stop walking on their own. I didn't fully understand then, but I remembered it. When he transferred the building to my name, he slid the papers across the table. This stays quiet, he said. I nodded. Of course, I said. That was our language. When I told my wife about my job bonuses, she smiled. See, she said. You're doing well. I nodded. I try, I said. She never asked for numbers. She never asked about assets. She just assumed she knew the shape of my life. That assumption became the foundation of our marriage. I'll handle the bills, she said once. I'm better at organizing. I agreed. If you want, I said. She wanted control. I mistook that for strength. One night, she asked, "Why don't you ever argue?" I looked at her. "I don't see the point," I said. She frowned. "Sometimes fighting means you care." I thought about that. "I care," I said. "I just don't shout." She crossed her arms. "You hide," she said. I felt that one. "I protect," I replied. She shook her head. "From what?" she asked. I didn't answer. At family dinners, she spoke for both of us. "He agrees," she'd say. I did. Most of the time. When I didn't, I stayed quiet. My mother once pulled me aside. "Are you happy?" she whispered. I smiled. "Yes," I said. That answer was easier than the truth. Happiness felt like something loud people claimed. I was quieter than that. My wife liked to remind me. "I'm the reason we're moving forward," she said. "You'd stay in one place forever." I replied, "Someone has to slow things down." She rolled her eyes. "You always settle," she said. I didn't correct her. Settling sounded passive. I thought I was choosing carefully. There's a difference. I just never explained it. When my father died, she held my hand at the funeral. "We'll be okay," she said. I nodded. "We will," I replied. Afterward, she asked, "Did he leave you anything?" I looked at her. "Lessons," I said. She sighed. "You're impossible," she said. She thought I was joking. I wasn't. We argued once about ambition. "Don't you want more?" she asked. "More what?" I replied. "More money." "More recognition," she said. I looked around the apartment. "I want peace," I said. She laughed, but not kindly. "Peace doesn't pay bills," she said. I didn't remind her that our bills were always paid. Early. Quietly. When she started dressing differently for work, she asked, "Do I look okay?" I said, "You always do." She frowned. "You're supposed to notice details," she said. I did notice. I noticed everything. I just didn't react the way she wanted. She mistook calm for indifference. That misunderstanding grew teeth. One evening, she said, "Sometimes I feel like I married a shadow." That hurt. "I'm right here," I said. She shook her head. "I don't know who you really are," she replied. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to say everything. Instead, I said, "You know enough." She stared at me like I had failed a test. The truth was simple. I learned early that being underestimated was safer than being exposed. People expect less. They demand less. They leave you room. My wife didn't want room. She wanted a spotlight. I stood in the dark beside her and thought that was love. It wasn't. It was imbalance. The night before she filed for divorce, she said, "I feel alone even when you're here." I answered, "I've always been here." She looked away. "Not the way I need," she said. I nodded. That was the moment I knew. We were speaking different languages. Mine was quiet. Hers needed noise. Lying in bed that night, I stared at the ceiling and thought about everything I never said. I thought about the building. The accounts. The choices. I thought about how easy it was for her to believe I had nothing because I never showed it. Silence had protected me my whole life. I just didn't realize what it would cost me this time. I knew something was wrong long before I admitted it. "You're imagining things," my wife said one night, scrolling through her phone. "You've been quiet lately," I replied. "I'm always quiet," she said without looking up. That answer felt sharper than usual. I watched her thumb move fast, smile flicker, then disappear. "Who are you texting?" I asked. She sighed. "Work," she said. "You ask too many questions lately." I nodded and let it go, like I always did. A week later, she came home late. "Traffic was terrible," she said, dropping her bag. "You never complain about traffic," I replied. She stiffened. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked. I raised my hands. "Nothing," I said. "Just noticing." She rolled her eyes. "You notice now," she said. "After years?" I didn't answer. Silence was easier than explaining suspicion without proof. At dinner, she barely touched her food. "You okay?" I asked. "I'm tired," she said. "You've been tired a lot," I replied. She snapped her fork down. "Can you stop analyzing me?" she said. "I'm allowed to be exhausted." I nodded. "You are," I said. "I just care." She laughed softly, but there was no warmth. "That's new," she said. That laugh stayed with me all night. A few days later, I met her coworker by accident. We ran into each other outside the building. "You must be her husband," he said, smiling wide. "She's mentioned you." I shook his hand. "Only good things, I hope," I said. He chuckled. "She says you're steady," he replied. That pause before the word told me everything. "Someone has to be," I said. He nodded, like he agreed too easily. That night, I asked her about him. "Why?" she said. "You met him," I replied. "He seems close to you." She crossed her arms. "He's a friend," she said. "You don't have many friends," I replied quietly. She glared. "That's not my fault," she said. "I work with adults, not people afraid to speak." That hurt more than it should have. "I'm not afraid," I said. "I just choose my words." She shook her head. "You always say that." The signs stacked up slowly. Late meetings. Locked screens. Sudden privacy. "You didn't used to hide your phone," I said once. "I didn't know I had to share everything," she replied. "Marriage is sharing," I said. She laughed. "Not interrogation," she said. I felt myself shrinking again. That familiar shape. Small. Quiet. Unthreatening. One evening, I overheard her on the balcony. "He won't notice," she whispered. My chest tightened. I stepped closer, staying still. "He never does," she continued. I walked away before she saw me. My hands were shaking. I sat on the couch and stared at the wall. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I waited. Waiting had always been my skill. When I finally asked, she didn't deny it right away. "You're being paranoid," she said. "Am I?" I asked. She sighed dramatically. "You've always been insecure," she said. That word cut deep. "I trusted you," I replied. She scoffed. "Trust doesn't mean control," she said. "I'm not controlling," I said. "I'm confused." She stood up. "I can't do this," she said. "You're exhausting." A week later, I followed my instinct instead of my habit. I came home early. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I heard laughter from the bedroom. Not mine. Not hers alone. I didn't open the door. I stood there, listening. You deserve better, he said. I know, she replied. That was all I needed. I walked out without a sound. She didn't notice me leave. She didn't notice anything until I stopped asking questions. You're being distant, she said days later. You wanted space, I replied. She frowned. Not like this, she said. Like what? I asked. Like you don't care, she said. I looked at her. I care enough to stop pretending, I said. She didn't understand that. When I finally said the word, it felt strange. I know, I said. She froze. Know what? She asked. About him, I replied. She stared at me, then laughed. You're wrong, she said. I heard you, I replied. The room went silent. You invaded my privacy, she said. You broke our marriage, I replied. She turned away. I needed to feel seen, she said. That was her excuse. I was lonely, she said. I felt invisible. I nodded slowly. So you made me disappear, I said. She looked at me, tears forming. You never fought for us, she said. I whispered, I fought quietly. She shook her head. That's not enough, she said. From that moment, something inside me shut down. The pain didn't explode. It settled. Heavy. Cold. I stopped asking why. I stopped hoping she'd come back. I started observing instead of reacting. She mistook my calm for weakness again. We need space, she said. I agree, I replied. She looked surprised. That's it, she asked. That's it, I said. The night she said she wanted freedom, I felt relief. I want to find myself, she said. I hope you do, I replied. She stared at me like she expected anger. I gave her acceptance. That hurt her more than shouting ever could have. As she packed a bag, she said, You're too calm. I answered, I've been preparing for this longer than you think. When she left that night, I sat alone and breathed. I didn't feel broken. I felt awake. Betrayal didn't destroy me. It clarified things. I realized I had already let her go. The divorce papers would come later. The pain had already done its work. I whispered to myself, this isn't the end. And for the first time, I believed it. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday. You can pick up your copies at the front desk, the clerk said without looking up. I nodded. Thank you, I replied. My voice sounded normal. That surprised me. My wife stood beside me, scrolling on her phone. I'll have movers tomorrow, she said. I won't be there. I looked at her. That's fine, I said. She hesitated, then shrugged. Good, she said. Less awkward. Outside the courthouse, a friend waved. Hey, he said, pulling me into a half hug. Man, that sucks. I smiled faintly. It's done, I said. He glanced at my wife. At least she got the apartment, he said, trying to sound positive. She smiled proudly. I fought for it, she said. I stayed quiet. He looked at me. You'll bounce back, he said. You always do. I nodded again. That was my role. That night, I slept in a rented room with a bed that creaked every time I moved. The landlord knocked earlier. Cash or card, he asked. Card, I said. He smiled. You're easy, he said. I thought about that word as he left. Easy. Quiet. Forgettable. I lay there staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. You okay? I typed, I'm fine. That wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. The next day, my wife called. You forgot a box, she said. I'll get it later, I replied. I need the space, she said. Take your time, I answered. She paused. You're being weirdly nice, she said. I smiled. I always am, I said. She didn't laugh. I'll leave it by the door, she said and hung up. Friends started choosing sides quietly. She seems happier, one said over coffee. You never pushed her, another added. I listened. Maybe you were too passive, someone suggested. I nodded. Maybe, I said. Nobody asked me what I wanted. Nobody ever did. That part hurt more than losing the apartment. I went back to the building once, just to grab mail. The security guard nodded. Morning, he said. Morning, I replied. He smiled. Your wife seemed stressed yesterday, he said. I shrugged. Change is hard, I said. He laughed. Tell me about it. I walked past the elevator and took the stairs. Old habit. Quiet habit. Inside the apartment, the walls felt unfamiliar. Boxes everywhere. You're early, she said, startled. I said I'd come by, I replied. She crossed her arms. Make it quick, she said. I picked up my box. You okay? I asked. She scoffed. I won, she said. Why wouldn't I be? I looked around. I guess you did, I said. That answer seemed to irritate her. As I left, she called out. You don't regret it? I turned. Regret what? I asked. Not fighting, she said. I met her eyes. No, I replied. She frowned. You should, she said. I smiled slightly. I don't, I said and walked out. That night, I met my father's old friend for dinner. You look lighter, he said. Do I? I asked. Yes, he replied. Loss does that sometimes. I nodded. I lost on paper, I said. He chuckled. Paper lies, he replied. I looked at him. You sound like my father, I said. He smiled. He taught us both, he said. Weeks passed. I learned my new routine. Cheap coffee. Quiet mornings. Long walks. My wife posted photos online. Smiling. New furniture. New life. People commented. So happy for you, they wrote. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. Silence still protected me. It just hurt differently now. One afternoon, my phone rang. You need to update your forwarding address, a clerk said. For what? I asked. Property records, she replied. I paused. Everything's fine, I said. She hesitated. Just routine, she said. I'll handle it, I replied and hung up. I stood outside the building again, looking up. 10 floors. Solid. Unchanged. People came and went, unaware. My wife walked past me, laughing on her phone. She didn't see me. That felt symbolic. I watched her disappear inside. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Losing everything on paper taught me something important. Not everything that matters is written down. And not everything that looks like loss actually is. I didn't tell anyone the truth right away. I just listened. That's what I've always done. She's been difficult, the property manager said on the phone. Demanding changes that aren't in her lease. I leaned against the window and watched traffic below. What kind of changes? I asked. New locks, new parking privileges, special access, he replied. She keeps saying she deserves it. I stayed quiet. Does she? He asked carefully. No, I said. That answer felt heavier than it should have. We met 2 days later. He shook my hand and smiled politely. It's been a while, he said. You've been keeping a low profile. I nodded. I prefer it that way, I replied. He gestured toward the building. Your ex-wife lives comfortably, he said. She seems to think the place belongs to her now. I looked up at the windows. She thinks a lot of things, I said. He waited, like he wanted permission. She's rude to the staff, he added. Dismissive. I sighed. I'm not surprised, I said. We sat in his small office. He slid a folder across the desk. These are the complaints, he said. I opened it slowly. Dates. Names. Notes. She refuses inspections, he continued. Says she doesn't need approval. I closed the folder. She does, I said. He nodded. That's what I told her. I met his eyes. And? I asked. He hesitated. She laughed, he said. That laugh wasn't new to me. I'd heard it before. She's confident, I said. She thinks she won. He leaned back. You haven't told her, have you? He asked. I shook my head. No, I replied. Why? He asked. I thought about it. Because truth works better when it arrives on its own, I said. He smiled slowly. Your father used to say things like that, he said. He taught me well, I replied. On my way out, my phone buzzed. My ex-wife's name lit up the screen. I answered. What do you want? She asked immediately. Hello to you too, I said. Don't be cute, she snapped. The building management is being ridiculous. I stayed calm. How so? I asked. They're questioning my authority, she said. Authority over what? I asked. She scoffed. My home, she said. It's my apartment. I paused. You rent, I said carefully. Silence followed. Don't correct me, she said. I didn't, I replied. She lowered her voice. You need to talk to them, she said. They're harassing me. I leaned against the wall. Why would they listen to me? I asked. She laughed sharply. Because you're still listed as my emergency contact, she said. Fix it. I smiled faintly. I'll look into it, I said. She hung up without thanking me. That night, I called my father's old lawyer. Everything still clean? I asked. He chuckled. Cleaner than most, he said. The holding company is solid. I closed my eyes. Good, I said. No leaks? I asked. None, he replied. No one connects you to the building directly. I exhaled slowly. Keep it that way, I said. Of course, he replied. I sat alone afterward, staring at the folder from the manager's office. My name wasn't on anything visible. That was intentional. I remembered my father saying, power doesn't announce itself. I used to think that meant money. Now I knew it meant patience. I wasn't angry. I wasn't excited. I felt focused. That was new. A few days later, my ex-wife showed up at my door. We need to talk, she said. I stepped aside. Come in, I replied. She looked around the small room. This is where you live now, she asked. For now, I said. She crossed her arms. You always settle, she said. I met her gaze. I adapt, I replied. She rolled her eyes. Whatever, she said. She sat down hard. The building is changing rules, she said. They can't do that. I shrugged. Buildings have rules, I said. She leaned forward. You used to handle things, she said. You used to make calls. I smiled slightly. You didn't like when I handled things, I replied. She frowned. That's not fair, she said. Neither is entitlement, I answered. Her eyes narrowed. You're enjoying this, she accused. I shook my head. I'm observing, I said. She stood up. I don't have time for this, she said. I'm busy. I nodded. I can see that, I said. She paused at the door. You've changed, she said. No, I replied. You're just seeing me without assumptions. She scoffed and left. After she was gone, I sat back down and laughed quietly. Not out of joy. Out of clarity. The truth had been hidden in plain sight the whole time. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need confrontation. I just needed to stop shielding her from reality. For the first time, silence wasn't about survival. It was about control. The first notice went out on a Friday. Routine inspection, the property manager said on the phone. All units. I leaned back in my chair. Do it by the book, I said. Always, he replied. An hour later, my phone rang again. I didn't answer. I already knew who it was. She called 3 more times. Then she texted. Why is management bothering me? I typed back, probably standard procedure. They never did this before, she replied. Things change, I wrote. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. That silence felt different now. It felt earned. That evening she showed up unannounced. Are you behind this? She asked the moment I opened the door. I stepped aside. Come in, I said. She didn't move. Answer me, she said. Behind what? I asked. She laughed sharply. Don't play dumb, she said. The inspections. The letters. I shrugged. I don't work there, I said. Not anymore. That last part stung her. I could see it. She paced the room. They're treating me like a tenant, she said. I nodded. You are a tenant, I replied. She stopped. Don't start, she warned. I'm serious. I met her eyes. So am I said. She scoffed. You always liked hiding behind rules, she said. I like fairness, I replied. She waved her hand. This isn't fair, she said. It's inconvenient, I corrected. She stared at me like she wanted a fight. I didn't give her one. The next week, another notice. Parking privileges revoked. Temporary, the manager explained. Policy violation. I nodded. Document everything, I said. My phone buzzed immediately. My parking spot is gone, she snapped. That's ridiculous. I replied calmly, did they explain why? She cursed under her breath. You're enjoying this, she said. I shook my head. I'm letting it happen, I replied. That difference mattered. She started calling late at night. I need help, she said once. With what? I asked. They're asking for paperwork, she replied. Lease compliance. I paused. You should read your lease, I said. She laughed bitterly. You sound just like them, she said. They sound reasonable, I replied. She hung up on me. I met the property manager again. She's escalating, he said. Threatening legal action. I nodded. Let her, I said. He raised an eyebrow. You're sure? He asked. Yes, I replied. Everything is clean. He smiled. Your father would approve, he said. I didn't smile back. Approval wasn't what I wanted anymore. One afternoon, I ran into her coworker outside the building. He looked uncomfortable. Hey, he said. Hey, I replied. He cleared his throat. She's been stressed, he said. I can imagine, I replied. He hesitated. She says you're behind all this, he said. I tilted my head. Am I? I asked. He looked confused. I don't know, he admitted. Neither does she, I said. That ended the conversation. She came to my place again, angrier this time. They're threatening eviction, she said. Her voice cracked. For violations, I replied. She slammed her bag down. Say something, she demanded. I stayed seated. What do you want me to say? I asked. That this is wrong, she said. That they can't do this. I looked at her carefully. Did you follow the rules? I asked. She hesitated. That's not the point, she said. It is, I replied. Her eyes filled with tears. You're supposed to be on my side, she said. That sentence used to own me. Not anymore. I'm on the side of truth, I said. She laughed through tears. You always talk like that, she said. Like you're above it all. I shook my head. I'm just done protecting you from consequences, I said. That was the first honest thing I'd said to her in years. She sat down slowly. I made a mistake, she said quietly. I stayed silent. I shouldn't have treated you the way I did, she continued. I looked at the floor. That's not why this is happening, I said. She looked up. Then why? She asked. I met her gaze. Because you believed winning meant owning, I replied. And you never checked what you actually had. She stood up suddenly. This is cruel, she said. You're cruel. I shook my head. I'm absent, I said. You're facing systems you ignored. She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she didn't have an answer. She grabbed her bag. I hate this, she said. I know, I replied. After she left, I sat alone and felt something unexpected. Not joy. Not revenge. Balance. The power shift wasn't loud. There were no speeches. No confessions. Just processes moving forward without bending for her comfort. That's what changed everything. A final notice arrived days later. Compliance deadline, the manager said. No extensions. I nodded. Proceed, I said. My phone buzzed one last time that night. Please, she texted. Just talk to them. I stared at the screen. Then I typed, I am talking to them. She didn't reply. I turned off my phone and sat in the quiet. For years, I thought power was about speaking up. I was wrong. Sometimes power is knowing when silence no longer protects someone else. The shift had happened. Not with force. With patience. She came to my place just after sunset. I knew it was her before I opened the door. She always knocked too hard when she was scared. We need to talk, she said the second I stepped aside. Her voice wasn't sharp anymore. It was thin. We've been talking, I replied. She walked in, eyes scanning the room like she was measuring how far I'd fallen. "They're serious this time," she said. "They can't do this." I closed the door slowly. "They can," I said. She turned on me. "You have to fix this," she said. "I can't lose the apartment." I looked at her face, really looked. The confidence was cracked now. "You already won it," I said. "That's what you wanted." She shook her head. "Not like this," she said. "I didn't think it would end like this." I leaned against the wall. "You didn't think much past winning," I replied. That made her flinch. She took a step closer. "I know you know something," she said. "They don't listen to anyone else." I stayed quiet. "Say it," she demanded. "Say whatever game you're playing." I sighed. "It's not a game," I said. "Then what is it?" she asked. Her voice broke. I hesitated, feeling the weight of the moment settle in my chest. "It's the truth," I said. "You just never asked for it." She laughed weakly. "Stop talking in riddles," she said. "I don't have time." I met her eyes. "The building," I said slowly. "It's mine." She blinked. "What?" she asked. "I own it," I repeated. "Every floor." She stared at me, waiting for the punchline. "That's not funny," she said. "I'm not joking," I replied. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Loud. She shook her head. "You're lying," she said. "You don't even live well." I smiled faintly. "I live quietly," I said. Her breathing sped up. "You would have told me," she said. "I never asked," I replied. That landed hard. She stepped back like I'd pushed her. "You let me take the apartment," she whispered. "You signed it away." I nodded. "I did," I said. "Because you wanted to win." Her eyes widened. "You used me," she said. "No," I replied. "I stopped protecting you." Her face twisted between anger and disbelief. "So this is revenge," she said. "This is you punishing me." I shook my head. "This is consequence," I said. "Revenge would have been loud." She laughed bitterly. "You always do this," she said. "You act calm like that makes you better." I looked at her. "It makes me clear," I said. She clenched her fists. "You could have stopped this," she said. "You still can." I stayed silent. She walked closer again, voice softer. "Please," she said. I messed up. That word was small compared to what she'd done. "I know," I said. "I was lonely," she continued. "I made stupid choices." I nodded. "You did," I said. Tears spilled now. "I didn't think you'd let me fall," she whispered. That hurt more than anything else she'd said. "I didn't push you," I replied. "You stepped forward without checking the ground." She wiped her face angrily. "Say something," she said. "Tell them to stop." I looked at her and felt something close to sadness. "I can't," I said. "Why?" she asked. "Because if I do," I replied, "you'll never learn who you really are without me holding everything steady." She stared at me like I was a stranger. "You're cruel," she said again. I shook my head. "I'm done being invisible," I said. She dropped onto the chair, shaking. "I don't know what to do," she said. I stayed standing. "You'll figure it out," I replied. "You always said you were strong." She looked up. "Not like this," she said. "Strength shows up when comfort leaves," I answered. She laughed through tears. "You sound just like your father," she said. I paused. "He taught me not to confuse love with rescue," I said. She stood slowly. If I had known, she said. I cut her off gently. You would have behaved differently, I said. That's not love. She swallowed hard. I loved you, she said. I met her eyes. You loved what you thought I was, I replied. That was the final crack. She nodded slowly, defeated. I misjudged you, she said. Yes, I replied. You did. She moved toward the door. This changes everything, she said. It already did, I answered. She hesitated, hand on the handle. Do you hate me? She asked without turning around. I thought about it. No, I said. I understand you. She laughed quietly. That's worse, she said. Then she left. I stood alone in the quiet room, heart steady, chest heavy. She finally saw me. Not the quiet husband. Not the shadow. The man who owned the ground she'd been standing on the whole time. And when the door closed, I knew something was over forever. Not the marriage. The illusion. The eviction happened without drama. No shouting. No scenes. The unit will be vacated by Friday, the property manager said on the phone. Understood, I replied. My voice didn't change. Do you want to be present? He asked. I looked at the wall. No, I said. Handle it professionally. He paused. You're sure? He asked. Yes, I repeated. I don't need to watch. That was the truth. She didn't call me when it happened. That surprised me. I expected anger or panic. Instead, there was silence. The kind that follows disbelief. I sat alone in my room and listened to the city outside. Cars passed. Voices echoed. Life kept moving. I thought about how much noise I used to confuse with meaning. Now I understood that quiet endings were still endings. 2 days later, she finally called. It's done, she said. Her voice was flat. I know, I replied. They didn't give me a choice, she said. They did, I answered. You just ignored them. She exhaled sharply. You didn't even come, she said. There was nothing to say, I replied. She was silent for a moment. You really don't care anymore, she said. I closed my eyes. I care differently, I replied. That ended the call. I met the property manager the following week. Everything's cleared, he said, handing me a report. No damage. I nodded. Good, I said. He hesitated. She asked about you, he added. What did you say? I asked. He smiled slightly. That you prefer distance, he said. I nodded again. That's accurate, I replied. I walked through the empty apartment that afternoon. The rooms echoed now. No furniture. No laughter. Just space. I stood in the living room and spoke out loud. This place isn't cursed, I said to no one. My voice sounded steady. I remembered how she once said, this place will always be ours. I corrected the memory quietly. It was never about ownership, I said. It was about respect. My mother called that night. I heard she moved out, she said carefully. Yes, I replied. Are you okay? She asked. I thought about it. I am, I said. You sound different, she said. Lighter. I smiled. I stopped carrying what wasn't mine, I replied. She didn't push. She never did. Friends stopped asking questions. That was a relief. You're handling this well, one said. I'm handling it quietly, I replied. Another asked, do you regret letting her take the apartment? I shook my head. No, I said. I regret confusing peace with surrender. They didn't understand that. They didn't need to. I started rebuilding without announcements. New routines. Better mornings. I cooked for myself. I walked longer. I slept deeper. When people asked what I was doing next, I said, living. They laughed like it was a joke. It wasn't. It was a decision. One evening, I found an old voicemail from her. I miss us, she had said weeks ago. I deleted it without listening again. Not out of anger. Out of closure. Missing wasn't enough. It never was. I didn't need apologies now. I needed consistency. From myself. I met my father's lawyer for lunch. You handled it cleanly, he said. That's what your father wanted. I nodded. I used to think he was teaching me to hide, I said. He was teaching you to wait, the lawyer replied. I smiled. I finally understand, I said. I didn't celebrate. There was no victory speech. No moment where I felt triumphant. I felt steady. Grounded. That mattered more. Revenge would have kept me tied to her. Silence let me move forward. Karma didn't need my hands. It worked fine on its own. I stood outside the building one last time before heading home. The lights were on in different units. New lives. New stories. I wasn't attached to the place anymore. You served your purpose, I said quietly. Not as a landlord. As a lesson. I turned away without looking back. That night, I unpacked boxes in a new apartment. Smaller. Simpler. Mine. I placed a chair by the window and sat down. The city stretched out below. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Ownership of myself. No applause followed. No one clapped. And for the first time, I didn't need them to. I moved into the new place on a quiet morning. The boxes were light. That felt symbolic. Need help? The neighbor asked as I carried one inside. I'm good, I replied. He nodded. Suit yourself, he said. I locked the door behind me and stood still for a moment. No echoes. No memories. Just space waiting to be filled. My phone buzzed. A message from my ex. I hope you're happy. I stared at it longer than I needed to. I'm learning, I typed back. She didn't reply. That was fine. Conversations didn't need endings anymore. I unpacked slowly. A plate. A cup. A book. Each item had a place because I chose it. No compromises. No negotiations. I remembered how she used to say, you don't care where things go. I cared. I just didn't fight over small things. Now I realized small things add up. They shape you. My mother called later. Did you settle in? She asked. Yes, I replied. Does it feel like home? She asked. I thought about it. It feels honest, I said. She smiled through the phone. Your father would like that, she said. I closed my eyes briefly. I think so too, I replied. That afternoon, I met the property manager one last time. Everything's transferred, he said. You won't need to be involved daily. I nodded. That was never the goal, I said. He hesitated. Most people would have enjoyed watching her fall, he said. I looked at him. I didn't want her fall, I replied. I wanted my balance back. He nodded slowly. You got it, he said. I walked out into the sunlight and felt lighter than I had in years. Not proud. Not victorious. Just aligned. I thought about all the times I stayed quiet to keep the peace. I wasn't wrong for that. I was wrong for thinking peace meant disappearing. Silence should protect your values, not erase them. A week passed. Then another. My ex faded into a memory instead of a presence. That was progress. I stopped replaying arguments in my head. I stopped imagining different endings. Closure didn't arrive with a speech. It arrived when I stopped needing one. One night, a friend asked, "Do you feel like you won?" I shook my head. "I feel like I stopped losing myself," I replied. He laughed. "That's a win," he said. I smiled. Maybe it was. But it didn't feel like a contest anymore. It felt like growth. I ran into my ex once, unexpectedly, at a grocery store. She looked tired. Older somehow. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I replied. "You look well," she said. "I am," I replied. She nodded. "I'm still figuring things out," she said. I believed her. "You will," I said. She hesitated. "You were never weak," she said. That surprised me. "I know," I replied gently. She smiled sadly and walked away. That was enough. Driving home, I thought about how close I came to becoming bitter. How easy it would have been to gloat or punish. I didn't need that. I needed to respect myself again. Respect is quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It just changes how you move. I stood by the window in my new place and watched the city settle into night. Lights flickered on. Lives unfolded. Somewhere in that maze was the building I owned. It didn't define me anymore. Ownership was never about property. It was about choice. About knowing when to speak and when to stay silent for the right reasons. I whispered to myself, "You survived." Not the divorce. Not the betrayal. The version of me that thought love required shrinking. That version was gone now. In its place stood someone steadier. Someone honest. Someone who understood that strength doesn't announce itself, but it also doesn't hide forever. I turned off the lights and went to bed without checking my phone. No messages waited. No validation followed. Just rest. And that was enough.